Hello, my favorite people. We are here again, and today we're going to do some more Friday fraction time. And yes, appreciate my bunny ears. I got on going on back there. But my math joke of the day is these two guys with these two little halves with their shovel saying, "Hey, let's make one whole." That's funny. Two halves make one whole, and that's what we're learning a lot about, and we're going to continue to work on that today. So two halves make one whole, but then they're talking about digging a hole too. So, all right, I'm going to take off my video so that you can be completely focused in on my screen rather than my face. So let's go. I'll be back. So is this a whole circle? Well, I can say, no, it doesn't look like a whole circle, does it? So what is needed to complete this circle? To complete this circle, I need to have another half. So watch as I complete this circle right here. I'm pushing in another what? I'm pushing in another half, okay? So we can say 1/2 and 1/2 makes one whole. Two halves make a whole. So say it with me. 1/2 and 1/2 make one whole, or two halves make a whole. As we keep moving, look at this part of the rectangle. How many thirds do you see all together? I don't know about you, but I see 2/3, right? I see two of them. I see two rectangles. What do we need to complete the whole rectangle? I know that if it says thirds, that there's going to be 3 pieces. So what do I need to complete it? I need one more third. So watch as I complete the whole. I push in a third, another third, and I can remember that 1/3 and 1/3 and 1/3 make one whole. Or we can say 3/3 make a whole. Say it with me. 1/3 and 1/3 and 1/3 make one whole. 3/3 make a whole, right? So up next, I have got these fancy dancy little squares. I've got all these parts of a square. How many fourths do we see all together? I mean, I can see if I've got 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1, 2, 3. I've got 3/4, right? And I know Miss Matthews has been working with you about how to write those fractions with a numerator and a denominator. And so even though I go through them pretty quickly, we could, if we wanted to, we could actually write the things that we are doing, right? I could say, oh yeah, this is 3/4 here. So 3/4. We have 3/4. So how many fourths do we see? We see 3/4. What do they need to complete the whole square? Well, what is missing? 1/4. So they need 1/4 to complete the whole square, right guys? So let's watch and let's do that. Okay, so let's complete the whole. I've got 1/4. Now I'm going backwards. I've got 1/4 and I want to complete the whole. If I have 1/4, how many do I need to complete the whole? If I go backwards from what I had before, I need 3, right guys? So if you were to make the whole, if you wanted to create the whole, I would be very careful, like we did this one time before when we were doing measuring and that sort of thing. Ooh, that was bad. But I can make 3/4 so that I can make my whole. If I have 1/4, I need how many? I need 3/4, like that. I could even draw it if I wanted to make sure that I have all of my fourths there, all of my fourths, right? So if I complete the whole like this, using the fancy dancy squares, I can say that 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4 make one whole, or 4/4 make a whole. Say it with me. 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4 make one whole, or we could say 4/4 make a whole. Do you hear how that's kind of repetitive? We say 4/4, we say 3/3, we say 2/2, right? But that's because that's how many are in the whole in that instance. That's how many are in the whole, okay? So as we continue to think about fractions, I want us to think about what's missing here, right? How many more do I need to get to the next whole? Kind of like when we have benchmark numbers and I ask, how many do you need to get to the next benchmark number? It's kind of the same here. If I have 1/4, yet again, if I have 1/4 yet again, and I ask you, how much do I need? What part do I have now? And how much do I need? I need 3/4, right? I need to put on 3/4. Or if I have 2/3, what do I have so far? I have 2/3. What do I need to get up to a whole? I need 1 more third, right? Or if I have 1/2, how much do I have? 1/2. How much do I need to get to a whole? 1 more half, because I always have 2 halves make a whole. I always have 3/3 make a whole, and I always have 4/4 make a whole. And if you think about it, and as you get bigger and bigger and bigger numbers, it doesn't matter how many parts there are. If it's 16 parts, it's going to be 16 sixteenths make a whole. If it's 20, I could say 20 20ths make a whole. It doesn't matter how many parts there are. It's always going to be that same number that makes a whole. It's a pattern. It's a way it always is. It's a pattern, right? So today on your exit ticket, you're going to actually figure out for yourself, what fraction do you need to color so that one whole is shaded? I'll do the first one with you, because if you watched through all the way to the end of this video, you deserve an answer on one of them. So lucky you. If people didn't do this, they wouldn't know it. But what fraction do you need to color so the whole is shaded? How many are shaded so far? 3, right? 1, 2, 3. But what would go on the bottom? How many are there in all? How many parts? There are 4 parts, right? So 3/4 of the whole is shaded. So what fraction do I have left to color? 1, right? So I could write this one of 2 ways. I could write it like this. 1, you know what? I'm going to type it right here. I could write 1/4, right? I could write the actual word 4th, or I could write the fraction. I could write it like fancy way, right? I could write 1/4 over 4/4 in all, because there are 4/4 in all, right? Always in one whole, there's 4, so that's always what's going to go on the bottom. How many parts are there? 4. And how many do you need to shade? Only 1. So your answer on 1A would be, you could write it in words, 1/4, or you can write it as a fraction, 1/4, 1/4. Nice job, guys. Thanks for being a part of my quick mini lesson, and good luck on the rest of your exit ticket. Have a good weekend. Bye.